Welcome to Bearpaw Media and Education's Public Legal Education webinar series. My name is Nadine Callahoo Hansen. Bearpaw Media and Education is a department of Native Counselling Services of Alberta, and our primary goals are to make public legal education understandable, accessible, and affordable for Indigenous people. We at Bearpaw are not lawyers, although we do endeavour to make sure that this information is correct and current to the best of our abilities and is edited by lawyers. Of course, laws change with elections and societal values, so this information is designed to be general in nature and may not apply to your specific situation. It may still be necessary to consult a lawyer for legal advice to assist you. For more information, you can go to our website at bearpawlegalresources.ca or follow us on social media at Bearpaw Legal. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land in which we gather is Treaty 6 territory and a traditional meeting ground and home for many Indigenous peoples, including Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, and Nakota Sioux. Today's topic is going to be on getting government identification. So during this workshop, we are going to learn about a brief history of Indigenous family name changes and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission call to action number 17, how to reclaim your traditional name on your Alberta ID, how to obtain or replace government identification, such as your birth certificate, Alberta ID card, and the driver's license, and what ID you need to vote, as well as alternative ID options. And just a brief agenda, as you can see. The federal government's Indian Act policies for Indians or First Nations people during the 19th century were primarily concerned with assimilation. One aspect of the assimilation process was the renaming of the entire First Nation population, partly to extinguish traditional ties and partly because Euro-Canadians found many of the names confusing and difficult to pronounce. In line with the goal of assimilation, the government believed that leaving Indigenous people with their traditional names would hinder the motivation to assimilate. Traditionally, First Nations people did not have Christian names or a last name. They had hereditary names, spirit names, family names, clan names, animal names, or nicknames, to name but a few. Hereditary names in some Indigenous cultures are considered intangible wealth and carry great responsibility and certain rights and have been described as being analogous to royal titles such as the Duke of Edinburgh. In many cultures, the birth name was just for that stage of life, and additional names were given to mark milestones, acts of bravery, or even feats of strength. None of the great heritage, symbolism, or tradition associated with names was curated, recognized, or respected during the government renaming process. Traditional naming practices did not make sense to Indian agents, government representatives charged with recording the names of all people living on reserves and in residential schools. The diversity of Indigenous names and naming practices was believed to make record keeping difficult for Indian agents. There wasn't a uniform approach adopted by all Indian agents to the renaming process. Generally, the agents assigned each man a Christian name, and more often than not, an English or French last name. Women were given Christian names and assigned the last name of her father or husband. Indian agents on the west coast of Canada often used biblical names from different religious denominations, repeating them as they worked their way through their jurisdiction. This helps to explain the frequency of unrelated families who share common last names. This is how the process would have unfolded. Someone would have been asked their name, to which they would have said, Gaxim Naguala. And the Indian agent would have written down Bob Joseph. Later in life, they would be asked if they were related to the Josephs from the Squamish First Nation, to which they might have replied, no, but I'm sure we had the same Indian agent. First peoples of Canada have last names that only date back a few generations. It's certainly not the case for ancestral names, which date back to creation. Traditional names, naming ceremonies, and many other cultural traditions were discouraged and, in some cases, even outlawed. Indian agents and missionaries worked under the mandated assumption that all First Nations would, through one policy or another, eventually abandon their traditions and culture and assimilate into the prevailing Euro society, thereby eradicating the Indian problem. The Deputy Minister of the Indian Affairs at that time, Duncan Campbell Scott, wrote in reference to the assimilation policies, the happiest future for the Indian race is absorption into the general population. And this is the object and policy of our government. Our object is to continue until there is not a single Indian in Canada that has not been absorbed into the body politic, and there is no Indian question and no Indian department. Today, as more and more Indigenous people and families connect with their cultures, it is becoming more common for First Nations people to proudly carry their ancestral or spiritual names in conjunction with family names, such as Keginusuk's Dr. Judith Sayers, former chief of the Pupakisa First Nation, and Sean Einchut Atleo, former National Chief of the Assembly of First Nations. In 2015, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada released its report and 94 calls to action in response to their finding about the cultural genocide of Indigenous people in Canada. Call to action number 17 relates to the reclaiming of traditional names. We call upon all levels of government to enable residential school survivors and their families to reclaim names changed by the residential school system by waiving administrative costs for a period of 5 years for the name change process and the revision of official identity documents such as birth certificates, passports, driver's licenses, health cards, status cards, and social insurance numbers. The TRC call to action number 17 called on all levels of government to enable residential school survivors and their families to reclaim names changed by the residential school system by waiving administrative costs for the name change process and the revision of official identity documents. Alberta has waived administrative fees for residential school survivors and their families to reclaim their traditional names. In Canada, there's a growing movement to reclaim traditional community names, as well as individual names. For example, the town formerly known as Obima reverted officially on December 31st, 2013, to its original Cree name of Musquatchie, which means bare hills. And so Bearpaw Media and Education created several wallet cards, but one of the ones that was recently created is entitled Legally Reclaiming Your Traditional Name, which has all of the information that we're presenting today in it, in a nice, neat, small, compact wallet card. And if you want to get a copy of it, instantly, you can actually go to our website, bearpawlegalresources.ca, and download it instantly. Or if you want, you can order the hard actual copy through the website as well. And so that's legally reclaiming your traditional name, and our website, bearpawlegalresources.ca, and we have it listed on the bottom of all of our PowerPoint slides. Legally reclaiming your traditional name can be part of your healing journey and help define who you are as an Indigenous person. You can legally reclaim your or your child's traditional name in Alberta if you're a resident of the province and a survivor of residential schools, the 60 Scoop, day schools, or a survivor's family member. Traditional names include the name used before residential schools, 60 Scoop, or day schools, or name you received in a cultural naming ceremony. Following the TRC recommendation number 17, there is no application cost to change your birth certificate, driver's license, and Alberta ID card, but must be done before January of 2024. If you wish to reclaim your traditional name, you must put your request in writing directly to Alberta Vital Statistics by emailing vsregistries@gov.ab.ca with the subject line, Attention Supervisor. Vital Statistics staff will then help the applicant through the application process and waive administrative fees on a case-by-case basis. All residents of Alberta over the age of 18 may apply for a legal change of name. Under certain circumstances, residents under the age of 18 can apply for a legal change of name, such as if they're married, divorced, are a parent, guardian, etc. The new name or names selected by the applicant must be composed of a first and last name and must only use characters from the English alphabet. It cannot contain numbers, non-letter symbols, or profanity. This may pose a barrier to Indigenous applicants reclaiming traditional names. All applicants require at least 3 elements. Acceptable ID must be government issued, containing a photograph, a first and last name, and a distinct ID number. It must not be expired, and it must be the original copy. Legal proof of name can include a Canadian birth certificate, a Canadian citizenship card or certificate, or a permanent resident card. And then fingerprints. Digital fingerprints are required for each person applying to change their name over the age of 12. Additional documentation may be required depending on the applicant's circumstances, which could include proof of relationship, a marriage certificate, proof of address, etc. Applicants should contact a local registry agent to determine what supporting documentation they require. The general name change process is that you must complete the application form, must obtain a physical copy of this application in person from a registry office agent. Gather supporting documents, proof of name, acceptable ID, get electronic fingerprints. Fingerprinting services are offered by the RCMP. Gather all existing birth certificates, which must then be surrendered to the registry office, and then submit your application form in person to a registry agent office. You may have to pay for fingerprints. Fees will vary, and swear an oath. Keep your receipts to get your money back. Go to your closest Alberta registry and bring your legal name change certificate or updated birth certificate. Find your nearest Alberta registry at www.alberta.ca and search Find Registry. When you arrive at the Alberta Registry, the employee will ask you to provide your legal name change certificate or an updated birth certificate. This is your proof that you legally reclaimed your traditional name. You'll need to sign a statutory declaration, which is a written legal document. It allows you to say your experience is true to the best of your knowledge without any other evidence. Again, there is no deadline or cost to apply. A registry employee can help you write the declaration if you require assistance. You will need to state the following: your name and show proof of identity document, such as your birth certificate, driver's license, or an Alberta ID card. You are a survivor of residential school, 60 scoop, or a day school, and that you are reclaiming your traditional name. At the end, you will receive a temporary paper copy of your ID, and you will get your new driver's license or Alberta ID card in the mail. Take good care of yourself and ask someone you trust to support you through the process. Contact a residential school health support worker at 780-482-7894 or the National Crisis Line Indian Residential Schools Resolution Health Support Program at 186-925-4419. A second wallet card that we created here at Bear Paw is called Fill Your Wallet, and it's instructions on how to get government ID. And again, you can go to our website, bearpawlegalresources.ca, and instantly access this wallet card, or through the website, you can order from us hard copies of it. Valid government issued identification, ID, can help you access government services such as income support, medical services, etc., or open a bank account and vote. So it's the absolute basic ID that everyone requires in order to access services or to even be identified by any agency. So if you're born in Alberta and you need to apply for your birth certificate, a birth certificate is the absolute most important piece of ID. It can help you get a passport, driver's license, and social insurance number, as well as other things. Your first step, download and complete the Alberta birth certificate application form at www.alberta.ca and search birth certificate. If you were born outside of Alberta, you'll need to contact the Vital Statistics Office in your province or territory of birth. Go to www.alberta.ca and search non-Alberta vital statistics. Then you need to drop off the completed application with acceptable ID at any Alberta registry. There will be a $20 government fee plus a registry agent fee as well. To find a list of acceptable alternative ID, you can go to www.alberta.ca and search acceptable ID. If you're at least 12 years old, from another province and studying at an Alberta university or college, or an Alberta resident, then apply for an Alberta ID card, which is valid for 5 years at any Alberta registry. You may apply for an Alberta ID card regardless of outstanding fines. So outstanding fines under $1,000 are automatically sent to registries. And so you go to renew your driver's license or registration, and you discover that you can't get anything through registries without paying off all of your fines first. However, an Alberta ID, which is just a photo ID, you can actually get that whether you have outstanding fines or not. Bring proof that you live in Alberta, a mailed statement with your address on it, and one of the following pieces of ID: a birth certificate, Indian status card, or a Canadian passport. To find out more, you can always go to that lovely Alberta website, www.alberta.ca, and search Alberta ID card. So then how do you renew or replace your driver's license? Of course, if you have outstanding fines, you'll have to clear those before you can do this. Find your nearest Alberta registry at that www.alberta.ca website and search Renew Driver's License. Go to the registry in person with your old license if possible, a medical form required only if you have a previous medical condition and are over 75 years old, or if you have a class 1, 2, or 4 license. Ask a doctor to complete a medical form for you. Most doctors will have them. For more information, you can go to the alberta.ca website and search medical examination for motor vehicles. Replacement fees for a driver's license will apply and range from $21 to $84 plus GST. And there will be an added expense to get a medical as well. If your license is renewed for more than 6 months, bring your valid ID, your birth certificate, passport, etc., and proof that you live in Alberta, utility bill, rental agreement, etc. If it's been more than 3 years since your license expired, prepare to redo the written and road tests before you get a new license. So what if your license was lost, stolen, or destroyed? Go to any registry with valid ID to replace it for a fee. When you renew or replace your ID, you will get a paper ID until your new card arrives. Once your new card arrives, you will need to destroy the paper one. Your birth certificate, email vital statistics at vs@gov.ab.ca or call 780-427-7013 or you can contact them toll free at Service Alberta 310-0000. As well, if you need more information on renewing a driver's license, you can contact them as well through Service Alberta. You can find your nearest Alberta registry at the alberta.ca website and search Find Registry. So what happens if you have no acceptable ID? If you don't have acceptable ID, someone you know can act as your designated agent and apply for a vital statistics record on your behalf. The following conditions apply. You must have known your designated agent for at least 1 year. Your designated agent must provide their own acceptable ID for your application. The application and consent portions of the application form must be completed by you. And then the statutory declaration portion of the application form must be signed by your designated agent in front of a notary public or commissioner for oaths. A designated agent cannot be used for all vital statistics applications and services. For example, a designated agent cannot be used to apply for an Alberta marriage license. Speak with a registry agent or Registry Connect to find out if you can use a designated agent to make your application. Another handy wallet card that we've created is on changing your sex marker on your Alberta ID. And again, available instantly for download on our website, bearpawlegalresources.ca. You can change your sex marker on your Alberta ID to X, F, or M, male or female or X, to represent your gender identity, how you define your gender, and expression, how you present your gender. You do not have to change your biological sex to change the sex marker on your ID. To change your Alberta birth certificate, you must be 18 years or older, or be younger than 18 and are married, divorced, widowed, or in an adult interdependent relationship where two people have signed adult interdependent partner agreement or live together for at least 3 years, or live in an interdependent relationship and have a child, or be the parent or guardian of another person. There's a $20 government fee to change your sex marker. If you cannot pay due to financial barriers, the Director of Vital Statistics can remove the government fee. Just simply send them an email request with the subject, Attention Director of Vital Statistics, Hardship Request, to vsregistries@gov.ab.ca, and a decision will be made on a case-by-case basis. To find the application and affidavit forms, you can go to www.alberta.ca/birth-records-sex-amendment.aspx. If you're over 18 years old and born in Alberta, fill out and sign the request for amendment. Then complete the affidavit, which is a written statement confirmed by an oath, called Sex Amendment for an Adult form. Do not sign it. Take the unsigned affidavit to a notary public or commissioner for oaths, who is a person who can legally certify documents. To find a notary, go to your yellowpages.ca and search Notary Public or Commissioner for Oaths. There's likely going to be a fee applied here. Then find your existing Alberta birth certificate and send it with your application. Mail your completed application, the signed form, the signed and notarized affidavit, and the Alberta birth certificate to the address here, Vital Statistics, Box 2023, Edmonton, Alberta, T5J4W7, or you can go to any registry office and they can send it to Vital Statistics, but there will likely be fees applied there as well. So to change your Alberta driver's license or ID, you can verbally self-declare. State yourself to an Alberta registry employee that you want to change to your sex marker on your Alberta driver's license or Alberta ID card without changing your birth certificate or birth record if you are at least 18 years old. Present an amended birth certificate or birth record at any age. A changed birth certificate is not required to change your Alberta driver's license or ID. If you're less than 18 years old, you must provide documentation that you're either married or in an adult interdependent relationship, have both parents or guardians consent, or have a court order that shows the parents or guardians' consent. Go into an Alberta registry with your current Alberta driver's license or ID card. To find your nearest Alberta registry, alberta.ca, and search for Find Registry. Tell the registry employee that you wish to self-declare a sex marker change to X or F for female or M for male. They will print the application for you. You do not need any other documentation to change your sex marker. Pay the $22 fee plus the registry agent service charge plus GST for your new card. Advocate for yourself through these processes by using this card and asking questions. If you require assistance filling out the forms, find a legal clinic, free or low cost options in your area at www.lawcentralalberta.ca/en/help/legal clinics and services as listed on the card. If you have questions about changing your sex marker on your Alberta ID, you can contact Service Alberta at 310-0000 free of charge, or Vital Statistics at Alberta Birth Record Changes with the address and phone number as well as the web address listed there. You can also contact Motor Vehicles, the Alberta Driver's License or Alberta ID card at 780-427-2711. So then what ID do you need to vote? You need one piece of government issued ID with your photo, name, and address, such as a driver's license, or two pieces of ID that have your name and one must have your address, such as your health card or a utility bill. Or take an oath. Show two pieces of ID with your name and have someone who knows you to attest or swear to your address. This person will need to show proof of identity, address, and be registered in your same polling division. This person will only be able to attest for one person. So what are some alternative acceptable IDs to vote? They make it very easy to present ID to vote, and there are so many different acceptable alternatives to ID, such as a library card, a bank or credit card statement, a student ID card, a personal check, rental lease agreements, utility bill, insurance or registration cards or certificates, income tax assessments, school correspondence, a letter of confirmation of residence from a First Nations band or reserve or Métis settlement, or, surprisingly, hospital or medical card or bracelet even issued by a hospital or long-term care facility. You can still vote if you declare your identity and address in writing and have someone who knows who you are and who is assigned to your polling station to vouch for you. The voucher must be able to prove their identity and address. A person can vouch for only one person, except in long-term care institutions. So even if you end up not having any acceptable ID in spite of that great big long list, you still are able to vote as long as there is somebody who is willing to vouch for who you are and that you live in that polling station, in that polling area. And so that's everything that you would ever need to know about getting government ID of any kind. And again, if you would like to access any or all of our wallet cards, go to our website, www.bearpawlegalresources.ca, and you can view any of our videos for free, as well as download any of our publications for free as well. Or if you are interested in ordering any of our resources, you can also order through our website. And so that ends this session, and I hope you learned a lot and have a wonderful day.